Weird and Wacky History, the 7 natural wonders of the world. What's up, history buffs and nature lovers? Welcome to another episode of Weird and Wacky History, where today we are taking a bizarre trip around the globe to discover the strangest and most hilarious historical facts about the 7 natural wonders of the world. These magnificent sights have inspired awe for centuries, but they've also been the backdrop for some truly absurd human endeavors. Grab your virtual passport and sense of humor as we explore the weirder side of these iconic landmarks. The Grand Canyon. First stop, the Grand Canyon in Arizona, a massive gorge carved by the Colorado River over millions of years, reaching depths of over a mile. In 1903, a miner named James Lees decided he would become famous by being the first person to cross the Grand Canyon in a homemade barrel boat. Spoiler alert, the Colorado River had other plans. His makeshift vessel lasted approximately 18 seconds before spectacularly disintegrating. Lees survived with nothing but a bruised ego and a new nickname, Barrel Brain. And get this, in 1959, the US government seriously considered damming parts of the Grand Canyon to create a massive reservoir. Environmentalists fought back with a genius publicity campaign featuring fake newspaper ads announcing that they were going to flood the Sistine Chapel to give tourists a closer look at the ceiling. The outrage worked, and Congress abandoned the dam plans. And here's something the tour guides don't tell you. During Prohibition, bootleggers used remote areas of the canyon as hiding spots for illegal stills. Rangers reportedly followed trails of discarded corn mash to find these operations. The canyon literally had its own booze ecosystem. Harbor of Rio de Janeiro. Next up, the breathtaking harbor of Rio de Janeiro, often called Guanabara Bay, flanked by stunning mountains including the famous Sugarloaf. Okay. In 1889, Emperor Pedro II of Brazil was overthrown while sleeping. When informed that he was no longer emperor, he reportedly replied, "If that's the case, I'm going back to bed. Wake me when you sort it out." Talk about a relaxed approach to losing an empire. The harbor has seen some wild moments, including a bizarre 1963 incident when a local businessman attempted to claim the tiny Lage Island in the bay as his own sovereign nation. He established the Principality of Trinidad, complete with homemade currency featuring his face. Brazil's military shut down his micronation in less than a week, but not before he'd sold royal titles to several gullible tourists. And here's a historical gem. During World War II, the Brazilian government was so paranoid about German submarines that they covered parts of the harbor with giant nets. The only problem? The nets strapped so many dolphins that they had to hire special dolphin patrol boats whose sole job was freeing confused marine mammals. Mount Everest. Moving on to the roof of the world, Mount Everest, standing tall at 29,032 feet at the border of Nepal and Tibet. In 1924, British climber George Mallory was asked why he wanted to climb Everest, and he famously replied, "Because it's there." What's less known is his follow-up quip, "Also, my wife says I need more fresh air." Talk about an extreme solution to cabin fever. In the 1980s, a Japanese team brought along a Buddhist monk who set up a working hot tub at 17,000 feet. Yes, you heard that right. They hauled up equipment for a mountain hot tub. The monk reportedly said it was quite relaxing despite the 20°F temperatures that caused his wet hair to freeze instantly when he got out. And perhaps the weirdest Everest fact, in 1988, a French paraglider named Jean-Marc Boivin became the first person to paraglide from the summit. His flight lasted just 12 minutes to reach Camp 2. When asked how it felt, he simply said, "Old, the world's most anticlimactic post-adventure interview." Aurora Borealis. Now let's head north to witness the Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights, the spectacular natural light display seen in high-latitude regions. For centuries, different cultures had wild explanations for the auroras. Vikings believed they were reflections from the shields of the Valkyries. Finnish legends claimed they were caused by a magical Arctic fox sweeping snow into the sky with its tail, creating sparks. But my personal favorite comes from some Inuit tribes who thought the lights were spirits playing cosmic soccer with a walrus skull. In 1859, the largest solar storm in recorded history created auroras so bright that people in Cuba could read newspapers at midnight, and gold miners in the Rocky Mountains got up and started making breakfast, thinking it was dawn. One newspaper reported that a group of firefighters in Boston rushed to what they thought was a massive blaze, only to realize it was just the supercharged northern lights. Scientists in the 1960s once tried to create artificial auroras by launching rockets with barium payloads into the upper atmosphere. One test accidentally coincided with a local festival in Norway, causing mass panic that aliens were invading. The project was quickly renamed from Operation Aurora to the much less exciting Magnetospheric Research Initiative. Victoria Falls. Let's journey to Africa for Victoria Falls, locally known as Mosioa Tunya, or the Smoke That Thunders, located on the Zambezi River between Zambia and Zimbabwe. When Scottish explorer David Livingstone first saw the falls in 1855, he wrote poetically about their beauty. What his journals don't mention is that he reportedly slipped and fell into a mud puddle while gesturing dramatically for his companions to behold the magnificent sight. His guide apparently could not stop laughing, for so long that Livingstone threatened to dock his pay. In the early 1900s, the colonial authorities briefly considered building a massive water slide from the top of the falls as a tourist attraction. The plan was abandoned not for safety reasons, but because they couldn't figure out how to get people back up to the top. Sometimes even bad ideas can be saved by worse logistics. During a royal visit in 1947, British officials were so concerned about making the falls look impressive for King George VI that they secretly arranged to divert more water over the falls during his visit. The king reportedly commented, "Rather wet, isn't it?" The most British response possible to one of nature's greatest spectacles, Paracutin volcano. Next, we traveled to Mexico for Paracutin, the volcano that literally appeared in a farmer's cornfield in 1943 and grew to 1,391 feet in just 1 year. Farmer Dionisio Pulido was preparing his field for planting when the ground suddenly swelled beneath his feet and began to spew ash and rocks. His alleged first words were not terror or amazement, but simply, "What am I supposed to do about my corn now?" Talk about agricultural priorities. Within weeks, tourists were flocking to see the new volcano, and enterprising locals started selling volcano sandwiches, regular sandwiches with hot sauce that they claimed contained ash from Paracutin. When scientists pointed out that consuming volcanic ash was dangerous, vendors simply renamed them eruption specials and charged even more. The most bizarre Paracutin fact involves the church in nearby San Juan Parangaracushiro. As lava engulfed the village, it somehow flowed around the church, leaving only the altar and bell tower standing above the hardened lava field. Locals called it a miracle until someone pointed out that the church was built on slightly elevated ground. The priest's response: "God works in geologically predictable ways." The Great Barrier Reef, our final wonder, takes us beneath the waves to the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia, the world's largest coral reef system and the only living thing visible from space. When Captain James Cook discovered the reef in 1770, it wasn't exactly a smooth sailing experience. His ship, the HMS Endeavour, ran aground on the reef and was stuck for 23 hours. While waiting for high tide, his crew reportedly held what might be history's first stranded on a reef party, complete with rum rations and impromptu fishing competitions. Conspiratorial in the 1920s, an American entrepreneur tried to buy parts of the reef to install underwater glass restaurants where diners could eat. While watching fish swim by, the Australian government politely declined his offer, but not before he already printed menus featuring items like coral view crab cakes and reef peak pike. The reef has its share of weird residents, including the mantis shrimp, which can punch with the force of a .22 caliber bullet. In the 1980s, several aquariums reported these tiny fighters actually breaking their glass enclosures. This led to what marine biologists now refer to as the Great Shrimp Security Protocol, possibly the most serious-sounding name for put a rock in their tank so they punch that instead. And there you have it, folks, the weird, the wacky, and the wonderfully bizarre history of our planet's 7 natural wonders. From exploding barrels to volcanic cornfields, these magnificent landmarks have seen their fair share of human folly and fun. If you enjoyed this historical journey, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments which natural wonder you'd like to visit and what weird thing you'd do when you get there. Until next time, remember what the Grand Canyon bootleggers would say: history is best served with a sense of humor, and maybe a little moonshine. Stay curious, my friends. This episode was brought to you by absolutely nothing because nature is free, folks, though the trip there might cost you an arm and a leg. Please like the video at History Motion Machine.